in the chop shop. I'm talking sports talk. So don't.
Injuries to players like Devin Smith and Jalen Smith is why the reaction to Colts quarterback Andrew Luck's decision to retire is so incredibly stupid. Luck has a long list of injuries from playing this game: a concussion, a lacerated kidney, torn cartilage.
You see what I mean? How it start? The
You know
different.
we're live now. We're live. I thought you knew we was live. See that? We got to get this stuff synced up. I thought you knew we were going live. You back?
I'm here. You ready?
Yeah, I went live and I didn't want it. You was playing that thing. I didn't want that to go over there. I got to erase that out. Yeah. You follow me? I thought you knew I was about to go live.
No, I didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know you was about to play that. What up, Jim? What up, Jim?
What's going down? Let's do it, baby. Let's do it.
Hold on.
Let's see Walt.
Hold on. We live? Yes, we are.
Yeah.
What up, baby? H-Town. What's up? You know what time it is. It's time for the best 120 minutes of your day. The Chop Shop, the nation's #1 urban sports talk show, and also your midday sports happy hour. Yours truly, Robert Hatter, alongside Jim Hicks. Chris Walker will be on shortly. And this is Women Rock Wednesday. And Jimmy, let me tell you something, Jimmy. I know you didn't want to say it, but guess what? I'm about to talk to my friends. Somewhere it's an echo, but we'll figure it out later. But I got to talk to my women today. Women, we did a analysis, okay? Jimmy, you were there in the room with me when they showed us the figures. Women, we can't let Wednesday, our ratings drop on Wednesday. We do this for y'all, so y'all got to get your girls and your girlfriends to get this Wednesday back up. I know Jimmy didn't want me to tell y'all that, but that's what happened. We did on the night. You know, Chris Walker's on. We did our analytics, and it was a big drop off on Wednesday. So guess what? We're gonna have to figure that thing out, women. Let's not let these guys try to run us. You know, stop the Women Rock Wednesday. But before we go, it's a special day, Chris. What's going on, Chris Walker? We're packed today.
Hold on, man. I want to know what that brim Jimmy got on there. What's that brim you got, Jimmy? What kind of joint is that?
It's a dog. That's a dog. That's a dog, baby.
That bug got a creep in it. Hey, he got a creep in that bad boy.
But it's Women Rock Wednesday, Jimmy. I got to share something with y'all.
Man, don't scare me. That man, don't. Oh, okay, good. I thought you was about to share what you sent me a minute ago. I'm about to chop you up.
Serena Williams and her daughter, she called it a wild child, Alexis Olympia. They got a Pampers commercial. And it's a great commercial in the 23-time Grand Slam champion and the mother of a 1.5-year-old Olympia has a message for the parents with active children. Embrace it. You might just have the next Serena Williams on your hand. So it was a great commercial. If you ever get a chance, look it up. It's on YouTube or whatever. The Serena Williams commercial with her little beautiful little daughter, and that's gonna start off our Women Rock Wednesday. So what else, Jimmy? Because I know we'll get to talking. See, Chris don't like that, so I know we get to talking about everything else. But where do y'all want to start today? Because we got
We got a lot. I mean, Women Rock Wednesday. Let's go on and get it out the way, and in a positive form. Yesterday, man, I'm gonna tell you something. My day was going like this, then it plateaued after the Chop Shop. It was a great show yesterday. We provided a lot of information. I received a lot of text messages and emails from a lot of the viewers who actually watched the show after we went off the air and took notes from a lot of things that Chris Walker and Robert Hatter provided to them during the show. I mean, I'm telling you, I mean, that's the part that makes it feel well worth the while. But during the evening time, the late afternoon, boy, we got a chance to watch little Coco golf. Coco pulled out a fresh can of whoopers on that Russian and came from behind. It was 3-6 first set. Then she come back 6-4, and to win her first match at Flushing Meadows. Yeah,
Jimmy, that was wasn't that a little? You said that Russian. Why did you say it like that? Was that a little demeaning when you said Russian?
No, not in the text that I said it in, especially a lot of the things that happened on yesterday. Okay. And did you guys, I'm quite sure you guys are up on the current event about the President of the United States and his tax returns, and Deutsche Bank has confessed to having his tax returns, right? Did you guys pick up on that yesterday, Chris?
What happened?
The President of the United States. This is some good stuff. Before we go, get back to the sport.
So if it ain't nothing I can do about it, I don't talk about it. But keep going. I'm just not gonna comment on him.
No, this is good. This is breaking right. This is pivotal.
Jim, I got a question. Jim, I guess got a question before you go there. Why did they break that long time ago? They had the same information. So now
because the court had until 4 p.m. yesterday to provide a yes or a no. They were given a directive by the court. The banks, there was 2 banks, was given a directive. And they didn't answer. The lawyers answered real vague. Well, they said, well, I'll tell you what, we got to August the 27th at 4 p.m. to let us know yes or no. Do you have the tax returns for this current sitting president? On yesterday, it became known that Deutsche Bank confirmed they have the tax returns. And then a source, well, one of the media, I don't know have it in front of me, but one of the media outlets, they put out that a source informed them that included in the tax returns, that hasn't been made public yet. They're going to probably have to turn them over when the finance committee meets, because that's Maxine Waters. She's over the finance committee, and she has a wild hair in her ass about the president right now. But here's what they got. They says inside of there. They says that because this bank, understand, the president has defaulted on several loans. Think about it. All the stuff that he did, a lot of projects he had recently that went under. So why would a bank keep financing you, right, for projects that you foreclose on? Why? So nobody never can answer that. They say unless it's for a third party. So guess what they are claiming? They're claiming that is inside of that paperwork is a cosigner for his latest loan. And guess who's supposed to be the cosigner?
Jared.
Somebody from Russia.
Are you serious?
Yeah, just Google it. This is big. Dude, let me tell you something. This is about as big as it gets. If it now, Jimmy, we'll see either somebody gonna come up dead.
Thank you. But a little too late for me.
What you mean, a little too late?
A little too much. What is that gonna affect? How is that gonna affect him in his presence?
Because this is what they've been asking for from day one. That he's been avoiding. That's the tax returns from day one, because it could show something. We knew he was hiding something.
Affect the presidency.
Because it would be an
pardon himself from anything.
Dude, you can't pardon himself from being impeached. This is what now. That's why they was holding back. Now you understand why the Speaker of the House was holding back. They want to wait, because once you only get one chance at the impeachment process. You only get once.
Jim, I love it. You can talk about this. We'll talk about this out. Because guess what? It's Women Rock Wednesday, right? Women don't want to hear about 45. They telling me this on the Facebook feed right now. They do not. Let's talk about 45 tomorrow.
What?
So what's our next topic?
No, understand something, Howard. Why every time you don't want to hear shit, then all of a sudden it ain't no good? That's
What I
informative
just
news.
said. Notice what
You
I
just
said. The lady said, hold up. Anissa Ville said, newsflash. Us women don't want, this ain't Robert Hatter. Hold on. This ain't Robert Hatter. Don't want to talk about 45 food on our day. Talk about that tomorrow. So tell her.
Okay,
that.
now read.
What you
Now,
just told me.
hold on. Now read right below that what the next woman says. She's engaged in the conversation. Read the next comment. So you read that one. Next one is Michelle. And Michelle said they are trying to set it up to be able to impeach him. That means she's engaging in the topic. Right?
Well, keep on talking. Well, hey, keep on talking. I got something else to do. Keep on talking. Tell me when you finish talking. Hey, tell me when you finish talking about that book.
That's
tell me when
very
you finish talking about
informative.
that book. I'm typing.
How do you voted for 45, man? Shut up over there.
You guys will go throughout your day, and then you'll hear it on another news outlet, and they'll break it down, and all of a sudden you'll say, "Oh, okay, so that's really, oh, now we see." So I'm just letting you guys know something that you can go in and Google and search that has a possible direct effect on our government. So, and the highest level of government, and that is the sitting president. So now, and I mentioned,
Hold up, man. Y'all missed something that's really, really huge. I know it's Women Rock Wednesday, and Hatter, I can't believe you sent me that article earlier. I don't know if you want to get into that about that young lady. But Byron Rim is the head coach of IUPUI. It's official for the entire year. Give him some love, She.
Guess what? And
He just sent me. I just saw the release.
But guess what I just did, Jim? I didn't know what the hell IUP was until I looked it up today. I'm just gonna. I don't know.
IUPUI.
Hey, Jimmy, I can
Division
give your
1.
ass an acronym right now that you wouldn't know either. So don't shake your head. But I ain't
not a college, not a college
never,
acronym.
Ever. I ain't never heard of that damn school. So congratulations to hold up. Indiana University. Then it's Purdue University at Indianapolis. What the hell was they thinking about?
Do you know Rod Hunter? Do you know Rod Hunter? Now, Jimmy, give Hatter some information. I'm about to chop Hatter up for a second because he loved wearing that Nike stripe. You know where I'm going, Jimmy?
Yes.
He loved wearing that Nike stripe. Jimmy, what used to take place at IUPUI?
I
Nike
All-American camp.
that I never went to.
Well,
So
I'm
what
just
the
saying.
hell you talking about, Chris Walker? I never went. I didn't know nobody who went. So why should I know?
You know Nico Harrison, don't you?
Yeah, you know a lot of people that went. You know a lot of people
that went.
But guess what? Right now, I ain't never. Let me tell you something, man.
Well, yeah. No, you just been caught. You just been caught, Hatter.
I'm the one told y'all I didn't know what the hell it's talking about. I didn't have to disclose that information. I caught myself. The hell you talking about?
You being honest, man. You just being honest.
I told y'all I did not know who in there. I said, all of these initials, what the hell all these initials stand for? Why couldn't it just be the University, Indiana University? Why does Purdue have? So I got a question, you two smart, brilliant men who know everything about college sports. Tell me the reason those universities are listed.
What about Prairie View A&M and Texas A&M? Why can't they just be Prairie View?
Chris Walker, whose name don't say nothing about Texas A&M.
It say A&M.
Hold up. This particular school got Indiana University, then it's got Purdue University at Indianapolis. How many? Come on, man.
State schools, Hatter. State schools. State schools.
No, what they did with that school, basically it was I remember my time from being at the All-American camp on Nike, and they explained that stuff to the kids back in the days. they had a merger between the two schools. That's basically what happened back in the days, right after the integration, around in the late 60s or something. And the two schools, Purdue and Indiana, they merged their campus and created a neutral campus base for a satellite campus for both of them. That's basically in a nutshell what happened. That's your answer.
That's a quick Google, Jimmy. I see you reading it. Well, that's good. Quick Google, Jimmy.
I'm looking dead in the camera.
All I know is you got that Nike stripe on, and didn't know the Nike All-American camp took place there for like 100 years. For like 100 years, Jimmy.
Chris, I never went up there. I never went up there. Never.
That's why it's a chop shop. I'm chopping your ass up. That's right.
So let's dive right into some stuff in Women Rock Wednesday. One more Women Rock Wednesday topic before we get dead into some great headlines for the day. And that is I guess finally a lot of people have been woken up to a fraudulent headliner that's been going on. That was when Serena Williams and her match on yesterday morning over Maria Sharapova. And somehow they forgot to mention that they tried to create it as though it was a rivalry. And after Serena won this match in straight sets in less than 1 hour, mind you guys, then they come, all of a sudden the headlines, the excuse part come, well, hell, she's won 18 straight over her. Well,
19 straight.
Well, 19 now. Well,
Yeah.
you beat her 18, 19 times in a row. That's not a damn rivalry. It's not a rivalry at all. You're a doormat. That's not 19 wins in a row. So it's amazing how the narratives sometimes can be afflicted by mainstream media. Remember now, a lot of people aren't big fans of Serena Williams. And this is the place. It's been, this year went by pretty fast, but it was 1 year ago at this very event, the U.S. Open, where the umpire and Serena had got punished in that one game against wasn't it Coco?
No, Osaka.
Oh, it was Osaka. Yeah, the young lady with
the one that's half black and half Asian kid that says she's not black. Do we need to bring back the one drop rule? I hope people on the chop shop know what the one drop rule is. And y'all know what I'm talking about. Hatter from Memphis, he may not know because Memphis really ain't the South. The one drop rule. Tell him, Jimmy. Will you explain to him the one drop rule? When these people try to act like they're a different race, it's the one drop rule. Period. Sorry.
Hey, guess
I'm Japanese.
About the Serena game is that umpire, right? His name is Carlos Ramos. This past week, right before the event, it was announced that umpire will not officiate any in the near future events that Serena or Venus will be competing in. That umpire, once again, he will not be officiating any of her matches in the upcoming.
Hey, Jimmy. Hey, how you feel about that?
Black woman power. That's all.
Oh, so I'm glad he said that. Now, Jimmy, if LeBron James did that and said that I don't want one referee doing my games, what would Hatter be saying?
All you bronsexuals need to shut up.
If LeBron James say this referee can't do any of my games, what would Hatter be saying? All of a sudden it'd be a negative thing. But it's black girl power because Serena doing it. Boy, that's two trap doors you done fell down today. That's two trap doors, Hatter.
I love LeBron James. I just can't stand his fans, his stands, his sexual. I can't stand LeBron James. Everything he did, I love the school, the black power. I love LeBron James. But it's you guys like you. Every time, Jimmy, we can be talking about an orange patch and an orange grove. He'll figure out a way. Well, LeBron, he grow his oranges different from the way you grow yours, Robert. That's the thing that it gets me. But what's next? But back to Serena and Venus, black woman power. That just show you when you win and when you're a champion and you get power. And guess what? Hold on, Chris. part owner of the Miami Dolphins with Stephen Ross, this would have happened for you.
I'll say that again. Part owner of the guy that's the Trump fan, huh? Was Serena at that dinner? I mean, you know, you can't serve two masters. Hatter, you can't serve two masters now. You got to. Hey, Hatter, tell me what the scriptures say, since you're always at church. You can't serve two masters. You got to love one, and what you got to do to the other one?
Chris, let me tell you something. Chris, let me tell you something. So you telling me right now, all of my friends that are Republicans, what should I do with them right now? You tell me today.
They're allowed to.
Every one of my friends that are Republicans.
Boy.
What
You gotta come back. Hey, Jimmy, don't go to court with Hatter, boy. Do not ever do a crime with him, because if you watch Narcos, every time they catch one of them dudes that was in love with Pablo Escobar, like Blackie, they turn right on him real quick. I can't give you Blackie, but I give you La Kika.
That's the question, Jimmy.
Oh my God, man!
I can't give up the boss, but I give you La Kika. Boy, you something else, boy.
All I'm saying is, should I discard my friends?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Because there's no permanent friends and no permanent enemies. There's permanent interests. So their permanent interest is so we boycott SoulCycle since. So we boycott Serena Williams' matches because she's in ownership with Stephen Ross? I'm just asking. Should we boycott it?
Hey, heck no. I'm not.
No.
Boy, you dance on both sides of the fence, Adam.
No, I just made a statement, Chris. That's all I said. I made a statement.
Right.
I love Serena.
What you got, Chichi?
Well, I mean, what you know, a lot of us really and truly, we probably guilty to most of us to a fault that we selectively pick and choose certain things and times for which we wish to boycott.
Exactly.
That's the hypocritical demon inside of all of us. We all pick and choose, and really and truly, sometimes it's most convenient that we pick and choose the things to boycott that we really didn't care much for in the first place. So we'll just give ourselves a reason or an excuse to not support.
It's some people like, I haven't boycotted. What have I boycotted?
No, Hatter. Listen.
What have I boycotted?
Hatter, you need to stop. Hatter, you need to stop, Hatter. Your nickname.
What have I boycotted? Just give
What have you told people to boycott with your voice and your influence on the Chop Shop? You always talk about people should boycott something.
I didn't say boycott.
Oh, you didn't say boycott.
I said support something else. I'm always giving support your people. I ain't telling nobody to boycott nobody else.
What did you say? You said if I boycott these. Remember the other day, Jimmy, he said I'm gonna be like 100 pounds less because I'm gonna boycott McDonald's. I'm gonna boycott all that stuff that gave a check to Donald Trump. Remember he said that the other day? Did he not say that, Jimmy?
Yeah.
You started a boycott. What you talking about?
No, I did not.
Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A.
That's what I did. That's what I did. I'm able to get in this shirt I couldn't get in. That's what I did. I ain't worried about y'all. I couldn't get in this shirt before I just stopped. You know what? You know what it did? I saw a list of stuff. Not necessarily boycott it. I just said, I don't need that stuff anyway.
Right.
I don't need it anyway. And
I
look
got
how
you.
good I look. So that's all. So what we got?
Say, you want to get, okay, breaking news. Of course, we got news from yesterday. We shift gears, of course, in the Chop Shop. Don't forget, guys, want to remind you guys this weekend, Ricky Winslow and Baytown, the city of Baytown, will be hosting a symposium on Saturday and a 3-on-3 tournament on Sunday. And this is the flyers I tell you guys about. It's going to be at Goose Creek Memorial High School. Goose Creek Memorial High School. Go and support Ricky Winslow and his endeavor with his Rowdy Foundation. On the symposium, the speakers on Saturday will include Judge Joe Stevens. It will also include John Lucas, myself, Jim Hicks will be on the panel, and a lot of more speakers. But it's going to be really good at Goose Creek Memorial Saturday from 8 to 2 p.m. Now, the 3-on-3 is going to be on Sunday. You can visit go to the website, visit baytown.com. Visit baytown.com for more information. The 3-on-3, and I did confirm, I talked to the city council, man, Charles Johnson in Baytown this morning to confirm that the Chop Shop, as we kept our word, we sponsored a team in the 3-on-3. And that team is a team of 7th and 8th graders. There's only 4 to a team in 3-on-3. And they will be competing in that. Matter of fact, I'm gonna change the name and make sure the name of that team is called the Chop Shop. That's what we're gonna all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, now so that's there you go. Hit the hammer. Now, also now I want to change gears. Chris, one of the things from yesterday that we can't reiterate enough, that is, you mentioned Byron Rim. He's the former head coach at Prairie View. He was an assistant coach at IUPUI, and the coach got fired or resigned. That head coach was pretty popular in his collegiate days. And over the weekend, think of how swift this thing went down. On Sunday night, he was stopped and for an alleged DUI. And within 72 hours, they had forced him to resign, which then the next in line is, Chris, you can explain how that normally works, because you've been in the situation where the head coach is removed and they have to determine who would be what they call an interim head coach. How does that stuff work, Chris, on the intern stuff?
I mean, as far as being interim, like obviously, if people don't know, Jason Gardner, unfortunately, got caught, got a DUI, and obviously we don't want to see that happen to a brother. But one of our own, Byron Rim, gets an opportunity. He was a head coach at Prairie View, and it's funny. I actually have advised Byron through his walk. I remember he was working out with John Lucas, and he didn't know what he's going to do, and he went out to UC Riverside, and he worked out there. Then they let him go after 1 year. Then he went to work at Alabama A&M, and he asked me in the middle of the year, should I go take this job? He had just taken the Alabama A&M job, and my advice was, man, go to IUPUI and see what happens. Maybe you'll get a better situation. And the good Lord doesn't make mistakes, man. That's how things happen in life, man. You got to take a step out on faith. And Hopnot Panea, I know that Zapnot Panea, what they call him, Joseph? That's his Egyptian name. Sometimes bad things happen for you for good things to happen. Sometimes you got to get thrown in the pit sometime, Hatter, in order for Pharaoh to lift you up. So what I'm saying is God always has a plan. You just got to follow it. And what I just text Byron, I asked him to come on the show tomorrow, just so you guys know. I thought he'd be a good lick to come on tomorrow since he just got the job. He says he's driving right now, so he can't come on. He say, hey, man, go out there and win and get the job permanently. Now, and the good thing about what happened for him that didn't happen for me is I had to interview for my job against like 10 people. Like they,
Really?
it was, well, yeah, I mean, it's a Big 12 job. I get it. I didn't know the AD that well. He was new. And they had a lot of guys come in that tried to interview for that job. A lot of people that are high major guys that are friends. And, you would think that you would just get the job because it happened like this time. Matter of fact, when I got the job at Texas Tech, it happened just a little bit later than this, right? Where you would think like there's no way they would try to not give me the job. But they interviewed like maybe 5 or 6 people, and I was shocked. But I ended up interviewing for it. They still made me the head coach, which I was appreciative of.
I got a question, Chris. Were they interviewing those outside guys for the interim position?
Yeah, probably.
They was interviewing outside guys for interim?
Well, yeah. You have to realize what was going on at the time, and again, we're not talking about no disrespect to IUPUI. We're talking about the Big 12, and so that was my first head coaching experience. And here's a funny thing: people say interim coach, and that was the title. But at the end of the day, there's no interim decision maker. There's no interim guy who makes the subs. I was a head coach of the program. I ran the program. So even though that was a title, there's no interim. It can say interim all it wants. At the end of the day, you're the guy that's making all the decisions, and you're the guy that's running. A lot of people would love to be the interim coach of Texas Tech for a season. A lot of guys will never get a chance to be a head coach in the Big 12, especially people of color, which we only have, I think, 2 now. Even Mike Boynton, he was elevated. Like he didn't come from somewhere else. It's very, very difficult to become a head coach at that level, and there haven't been many in the Big 12. So I'm honored, even though that's the way it happened, but happy for Byron. I hope he has a chance to, again, there's different resources. It's hard to get the job at that time. When you get an interim job, here's the other thing. The players don't know if you're going to be the coach next year. Discipline, the parents, the summer coaches, agendas, the assistant coaches. People want their job. People have no idea what I went through that season. And I still believe to this day, and I can support article after article, and Kirby Hocutt will tell you himself, had Tubby Smith not been fired at Minnesota, I probably would have been $10 million richer, Chichi. True story.
I got a question for Chris.
Go on.
Being at Lubbock, I happen to have about, I think, one visit to Lubbock this year. And I just take my hat off to you that you stayed there that long.
To be honest with you, I actually like Lubbock, Texas.
That I ever want to go back to.
Let me tell you something. Texas Tech is a sleeping giant. They won the NCAA championships in track this year. My boy Wes did a great job. Wes Kitley, the football coach. They got rid of Cliff Kingsbury. Now he's a head coach of the the Phoenix Cardinals. Don't ask me how that happened, but it did. So they've always been unbelievable supportive of football with Crabtree and those guys. But women's basketball, Marsha Sharp, they had Cheryl Swoops. They were great in basketball. Let me finish. And then let me finish. And Chris Beard took them to the championship this year. What I'm saying is that is a fun city. There's a lot of money there. The bottom line is it's landlocked being up there near Amarillo in West Texas. But trust me, those people know how to have a good time, right? And it's not. And now with the new speed limit, it ain't that far. It ain't that hard to get to Dallas. And it ain't that hard to get to Austin. You can get there very quickly. And they got Southwest, Adam. And they got Southwest, so you can own a big old house out there in West Texas and jump on a plane. I'm just saying.
Zero.
So
Jimmy,
Would you rather live in Columbia, Missouri, or Lubbock, Texas? Columbia, Missouri, where University of Missouri is.
I have a question, Chris, on this. So as an interim head coach, right, what are some of the limitations of the decisions because you said at the end of the day, you're still a head coach, you're the overseer of that team at that
Absolutely.
That point to the next. What are you were you able to make hires? Because if you're the interim coach,
absolutely.
that means you get elevated. So you get to make that hire. And what all you can't do and what all you can do.
I mean, I could have replaced myself. You got to realize I did not replace myself when I became the head coach of Texas Tech because I didn't want to put someone in a position. First of all, I couldn't get who I wanted, and I didn't want to put someone who was a friend of mine in a position where I didn't know if I was going to be the head coach moving forward. And I get it why they didn't give me the job right away. I would have taken it for a year and see how it went, and then I could have probably got a 5-year deal. Make a long story short, scheduling, I did all the scheduling for the next year. Again, I did recruiting. As you guys remember, Jimmy, I thought I was going to have, and I believe this to this day, Keith Frazier, right? Because I was going to hire Snoop Johnson, who's now at UTA. So I had a plan. I had a plan to get Houston and Dallas on board and make sure that, that you could change the tide of what was going on. I was the first African-American head coach at Texas Tech. There's a lot of gravitational pull towards Lubbock and a lot of energy that I thought and momentum could have been built. So there was nothing. They were very supportive. Administrators were very supportive. There is nothing that you couldn't do. They were pulling for me. They weren't pulling against me. That's for sure.
And so is there a relationship that looking back on this in your time, because you didn't get the job because, of course, Tubby Smith was the ultimate decision over you. And at that time, Tubby was, you couldn't argue against the pedigree.
Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, at that time. But is there a certain relationship that you can reflect back on and say, you know what, that's that one person, man, I didn't think they had no juice, but I could have worked them.
Hey, man, here's the deal, man. I did everything humanly possible. As I told the group in Seattle, are you the coach or the leader? Jay Wright gave me a nice little piece of advice. He says, Chris, I know you think you're the smartest guy in the world, and you think you're the best coach, and you think you wouldn't. Go there and teach those people that you can be a leader. And as African Americans, that's my thing. Stop trying to do the job and show people that you can lead them to the promised land. And stop being transactional and understand that you can be transformative. That's more of an authentic leader. And that's what I did. And I had the fan base. I'll even say this. When I was at CBS, Tubby Smith, I did one of his games on TV when he was at Memphis. And Tubby Smith said, unequivocally, everybody wanted you to be the coach. It just got high level. And I'm not going to say the person's name that put the trap door in the way. But at the end of the day, I'm not upset about it. It didn't hurt my life one iota. I got some great things thrown in my path because I did not continue to be in Lubbock. I still have friends there today, and I'm happy they're doing what they're doing, because I told them, I gave them a blueprint that if they did a couple of particular things, that Texas Tech can do exactly what they're doing. So I was like, this doesn't make sense that Texas Tech is in this hole. You need to get the right person in place. Chris Beard used to work with me. He's the right guy. He got it done, and it's no accident what's happening in Lubbock right now.
Wow, we'll go to the boom boom room right now. Harold, you got something?
Yeah, I got a question. Melvin Dews asked Chris, why aren't there more black coaches, black college coaches? Is it black college coaches' duty to groom black players better, to learn the other side of the game and be future coaches? Is that, I guess, your black coaches' responsibility? I mean,
well, here's the deal. Here's the deal. Here's what I tell black coaches, especially elder black coaches. And if you look at college basketball today, when I was coming up, there was John Thompson, there was John Chaney, there was George Raveling, there were elder statesmen. There was Nolan Richardson.
Nolan Richardson.
So who are those guys? Who are those guys today? Paul Hewitt was one of those guys for me when I was coming up. You know, right now, Leonard Hamilton might be the oldest tenured coach. You know, if you think about it, and I don't think Leonard Hamilton gets the respect that he deserved. But here's my animus towards some of the. Here's my problem. That's why I did some of the stuff that I'm initiating the clinics, right, that I'm doing now that we did in Seattle. It's our job. You know what I tell young black coaches and they get upset? I say, listen, man, unless you want to coach at Howard, unless you want to coach at Prairie View, which is nothing wrong with those places. But if you want to be the head coach at Villanova, if you want to be the head coach at Texas Tech, you got to learn how to relate to the other culture. I'm sorry. The board of directors, the board of regents, their primary donors, they don't look like you. So if you don't know how to identify with those people, if you want to be the CEO of Facebook, you think there's a bunch of brothers there that are on the board? If you want to be the CEO of Google or Amazon or some of those energy companies right there in the state of Texas or in Houston, Exxon, Mobil, you think they're brothers there? So if you're not willing to learn how to handle that part of the world and understand that you got to act a certain way, dress a certain way, walk a certain way, wear your hat a certain way, can't wear your earrings, can't do this. If you don't learn how to wear a blue suit instead of a purple suit like Hatter, if you don't want to understand that, then you're going to struggle and you're not going to be able to get there, Jimmy. And that's the way of the world. I'm sorry. I didn't make the rules. It's how it works. They're the dominant. There is a rule of thumb that you have to learn as an African-American coach. You got to learn how to speak their language. You got to learn how to code switch. Hey, we having some real talk here. That's just what it is. And at the end of the day, 80% of the people that play on that court look like us, 10% or less than 10% in management. If you look at the Power Fives right now, you got the Big East. Actually, in football is different. Football is way worse. In basketball, you got the Power 8. You add the Big East. You add the Mountain West and the AAC. You got the Pac-12, the ACC, the Big 12, the SEC, and I might be missing in the Big 10. How many black coaches head coaches you think are in all those conferences? I'll let somebody in the boom room add it up. Go to each one of them. I know the number. Unbelievable. Now I want them to go and tell me what the percentage of African-American kids that play on all those teams. Or more importantly, when you watch the Final Four and all that money they're making during the Final Four, how many of those kids are African-American on that floor? And then people just don't want to see the numbers. In politics, we'll talk about, suburban white women voters. In politics, we'll talk about African-Americans voting for Biden. But when it comes to sports, Jimmy, we scared to say, why aren't there more black coaches? In football, we got to have the Rooney Rule. Like, we're scared to talk about the color disparity or the power disparity. We're scared to say, well, if you don't know analytics as a black coach, you're not going to get a job. I mean, I got no disrespect. I got nothing against Daryl Morey, but what qualified Daryl Morey to be the GM of the Rockets? I mean, seriously, what qualified him? There are people that know a lot more than Daryl Morey, but he's a GM of the Rockets. So I'm not even mad at him, but I mean, I'm not even talking about Gosar Rassan, who's the president of operations with the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'm not mad at those guys, but I'm saying if he was African American, do you think that they would get the same opportunity to be the president of operations for the Minnesota Timberwolves, given their history? What do you think, Jimmy? I'm just calling. It's not. This is a chop shop, right?
Yes, sir.
He's saying it like it is.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying is, when you talk about the coaching piece of what African Americans can do, what we can do is we can be like Barry Gordy. Guess what Barry Gordy did? He saw Dick Clark. He see, okay, they got all these billboard stuff, Elvis Presley. What about our people? Well, they don't put you on the billboard. Y'all got the R&B charts. So you know what he did? He got him a little shack, and he went to Detroit, and he created Motown. And the world ain't been the same since. Right? And that's what I'm saying. We got, and BET, Robert Johnson and Robert Johnson and his wife. Look what they did in BET. Now, who would ever thought that would happen? About the Bobcats.
But Chris, they developed it and founded it, but they sold it to
They did. I was going to Viacom, but again, that's making money, Hatter.
Okay.
You said before Jay-Z is involved with Barney's. Barney ain't black, and he ain't Barney Rubble.
No.
So I mean, they got other partnerships. Beyonce's with Adidas. Adidas ain't black. They got other. They're leveraging their brands. And hey, listen, people can talk about OJ all they want.
That's two different situations.
I get it, but they're involved with other people. It's brand association.
No, but if you own something and sell it, why sell it?
Why? Because he didn't want no more. Why can't he sell it?
If it's that valuable, somebody gave you enough money to make you and your wife a billionaire. It's that valuable. Why don't you hold on to it? Viacom has held on to it. They haven't sold it.
Maybe he was tired of it. I don't know. You got to ask Robert Johnson. That's a personal decision. You know, if somebody if I build something from scratch or somebody offered me a bunch of money, I might hold on to it.
But that's called black entertainment. You brought it up now. So
no, it's a good conversation.
But it's black entertainment television, right?
And it still is, by the way.
How can
it still is, BET.
Okay, I got you. Okay, all right.
So now we go to the boom boom room and address some of the questions that we have. Anthony Fox asked you, Chris, how many black coaches are just okay with being the recruiter?
None. I will say very few. You know what it's like? I was watching something on National Geographic the other morning, and they said baby seals, right, little pups. When the orcas are trying to eat them, they don't know when they're young that the orcas are the enemy. They go in the water thinking like, oh, that's my buddy right there. And then they start snatching them and eating them. And the other ones will be like, oh, that's probably not a good thing to go in the water. There's a lot of coaches, when they first get a job, they're like, oh, man, I'm cool being a recruiter. They paying me this money. I'm good. And then year after year, guess what they start seeing? All the guys that don't look like them start getting head jobs. And they're like, well, hold on, I'm not just a recruiter. Well, you already put yourself in that situation because you didn't went to the hood and got the dudes because your head coach can't do it, right? That's why he hires you and give you more money. We call that golden handcuffs. And now all of a sudden you want to be the head coach. Let me tell you a little story. And Hatter might think and I'm going to tell you why I love Penny Hardaway for this situation, right? Yeah, Hatter, go on there. I'm going to tell you why I love Penny Hardaway. I'm telling all these young black kids, and I'm telling these parents, stop taking handouts. Put your hands back in your pocket, right? Do your own schoolwork, because this is what happens. When you go to school and they're like, oh, you know what? We got to help him with his work. He's not smart enough, but he can play basketball. And then all of a sudden, guess what happens when that kid graduates and he can't be in the league? He wants to be a coach. Oh, yeah, that's such and such. We'll take care of him. Let him be the GA. And then the dude starts climbing up the ladder. Right now, he becomes the assistant coach. He goes back and mines goes to the same gold mine or the same fields, and he got the players that are like him. And then guess what happens one day, Hatter and Jimmy? He wants to be the head coach. But guess what's in their mind? Whoa. Aren't you the dude that had the learning disability? Aren't you the dude that couldn't do X, Y, and Z? You can be the assistant coach, but you can't be the head coach now. You're the guy that's the recruiter. But you can't be the head. Hey, Penny Hardaway, you a Prop 48. You can't be the head coach. You an AAU coach. Whoa. I understand that LeBron played AAU for you, and he probably could have made us $1 billion, but you can't be the head coach. We got to let that dude be the head coach. So we got to be careful how we portray ourselves. Act like a head coach if you want to be a head coach. Make some of them guys, hey, man, listen, man, my job ain't just to go get them players. Hey, you see that dude over there? He make the same salary I make on the staff. Tell him to go get a player and let me run the offense. Sometimes dudes got to step up for themselves on their own staff, Chief.
But if they step up, won't they get fired?
They won't get fired. Why would you get fired? It's part of your job description to coach. You should never let them hire you on that premise anyway. Well, man, I just need a dude that can come in and get players. Why? Let me tell you something, man. Like, this might be unpopular to people. And it's not about me wanting to coach. I would say this to any coach, and I would say this to guys I work with. It's not a problem, right? But I think one of the major issues in college sports or in pro sports, there are too many Caucasian men coaching black kids in their formative years. In their formative years. Because at the end of the day, it's a warden mentality. Hey, man, I provide you with 3 hots in the cot. Act right. I know better. Because when you talk about the winningest coaches, it's not about them being better. It's about who gets the opportunity, Hatter. They get the opportunities. That's why they win more. They get the opportunities. That's why they get paid more. If you only have black coaches, guess who had the most wins of all time? A black coach. If you only have black coaches, guess who make the most money? A black coach. They don't get the opportunities. But guess what they get the opportunity to do? Play on that field. Jimmy, Hatter, back in the day, all sports were all white. University of Houston didn't get integrated, the football team, to I think 69. Alfield can correct me if I'm wrong. All the players were white. All the coaches were white. Guess what happened over time? All the players, most of them became black. But the coaching staff didn't change, Jimmy. The coaching staff still white. The thing on the field changed, but not on the court, not on the sidelines, Hatter. That didn't change. But the field changed. What does that tell you, Hatter? What does that tell you? Why y'all so quiet over there, man?
I asked you and Jimmy a couple of questions yesterday, and I don't have them all because I sent them to y'all in the group text, and Jimmy went and changed the group text to a Chop Shop group text, and now I lost those messages. But I asked you 2 questions. Yeah, Jimmy, I'm looking for it now, and I'm saying, damn, I can't find the message. But I asked you 2 questions. I said, explain the meteoric rise of Chris Beard to prominence, to an elite coach. And then I think a second part of the question. So I'm sitting here watching. This is the same guy who Billy Gillispie fired. Couldn't get along with Billy Gillispie, they told me.
He worked with me. He worked with me.
Worked with you. He left and went to some other place. Wait a minute. I think he went to Arkansas Little Rock and another.
No, he was a D2 before that. D2 before that.
Then went to Arkansas Little, but he won at Arkansas Little Rock, right?
He was at McMurray.
He won at both of them.
They brought in 8 or 9, 10 players at one time.
Listen, man. Listen.
Explain that to me.
Listen, man. Some guys, Chris Beard is a great dude, man. Like I got along great with him. Matter of fact, my nickname is Hootie. He used to call me Hootie and the Blowfish. We used to have some great times. Like, what up, Hootie?
You like that dude. You
Stop talking.
Darius.
Stop it. Yeah. Anyway, calm down, both of y'all. But here's the deal. Some guys just got the rabbit, but I don't want to put his business out there, but when he got fired from Texas Tech, he had some hard times, man. Some family stuff. He went through a lot. I would even, and I think Chris has put this out there, I think Chris might even been sleeping in his car at one time.
Okay.
So this dude here is rags to riches. God had his hand on that situation, and it took all the stars to line up, and it very rarely ever in a million years happens the way it happens. I'm going to tell you another thing, and I worked for a guy, Cal. It didn't work out the way we wanted. I've never seen, and I love somebody to find that situation equally, like Mike Boynton and White King Jones, where a black coach was elevated at a Power 5. When the coach leaves, they elevate the brother. And since I've been coaching in 21 years, I've been around college athletics for almost 25 years, that 2 years ago when that happened, that's never happened.
Well, Tony Benford by default.
You know what but I'm talking about got the job permanently. I'm not talking about interim for a tournament or this. I'm talking about got the job. That stuff don't happen. And what happened with Chris Beard, he earned that. That everything lined up. UNLV, all of a sudden, Tubby leaves. It just lined up for him, and you can't be mad at him. He built Texas Tech into what it is. Nothing was handed to him. He got it done. He got it done.
And so we'll go to the boom boom room right now and address some of the comments, because you guys I'm loving the comments. Keep the questions and the comments coming, and that way we try to get to them and present them to Chris, Hatter, or myself on the Chop Shop. And we'll go right now. And of course, Erskine said we need to start telling these graduates to take GA jobs, like graduate assistant jobs, instead of chasing pro dreams for low pay in foreign countries. Is that a reality?
I know exactly what he's saying. Think about it this way, guys. Think about it this way. We got to understand that while there aren't black coaches too, think about it. There are kids, and I'm not going to call their names, that'll come work for nothing because they don't have to worry about paying rent. Their family has money, and they can be GAs, and they work their way through the system because coaching is all about trust. It's all about camaraderie and family. So guys, if they like a guy, they don't get rid of him. They just keep promoting them. So that's why you can see guys that never played before become head coaches and stuff. A player, especially a brother, they graduate college, what do they need to do, Hatter? They got to make some money. They can't take a GA job, Jimmy. A GA job, usually you don't get paid. So they're going to go overseas and make a couple of dollars. So they're never in that system where they can be an apprentice and they can work their way through the system. So the only job they get is the recruiter job. And oftentimes they haven't been groomed through the system and understand how college athletic works. They don't understand that. They need to learn certain things, learn how to do synergy, learn how to put a camp together, learn how to speak to alums and stuff. They don't know those things, right? So they miss that development part and they're not in the system. So oftentimes, and I'm not going to call names, a lot of guys work them way there. But you know how many former managers or head coaches of college programs? I'd be like, you got to be kidding me, man. This dude was a manager. This dude used to wipe the floor, and he's making $5 million as a head coach. And those guys that are making that $5 million really believe that they're better than all these other guys. As I said before, they get the opportunities, but they play it the right way. I'm not disagreeing with a guy who works, because you can learn how to be a coach. You don't have to play the sport to learn how to coach the sport. But please, by no means, don't tell me a guy that actually played the sport can't be a coach either and be an elite coach. That's the stuff that drives me crazy because they think they're better.
We go right to the boom boom room again. We have T. Hicks, and he has a question. He said, Chris, you the man. But let's be honest. We don't support the black head coaches. We don't send out those guys our best boys. If we support the black coaches, black men, then they will be the best coaches and have the best.
I love T. Hicks. First thing I say to T. Hicks, you was a summer coach. Did you send players to black coaches? That's number one. Let's look in the mirror, because I don't know if you did or didn't, but I like to answer that question. Second of all, T. Hicks, I know Jerome Tang is your boy who works for a white coach. He don't work for a black coach. So you're not going to help Jerome Tang? So you got to be careful how you say things. Because Jerome Tang is a good dude, and we want Jerome Tang to become a head coach. So now you're in a trick bag. So if you don't help Jerome Tang, he might not become a head coach. And if you only help the guy that works for the black coach, you see how the black coach is always caught in the middle?
That's a boy.
And the same analogy applies up in Dallas to Snoop and Aggie.
That's right.
So how can you help if you're in DISD or you're in Dallas, DFW? You can't help Snoop without helping Aggie.
That's right.
His boss, Chris Ogden.
Remember Jimmy Tubbs? It was a head coach at SMU. Remember Melvin Watkins when he was at Texas A&M?
Yes.
Everybody need to look back in those days and ask yourself, did you try to help Melvin Watkins?
It's a reason that both of them got fired, except for because they didn't have enough talent to help them win. Enough of the good talent, the top shelf talent.
And I'll go a step further. I'll go a step further. Hatter, think about this. We got a black coach. They ran the football dude off. Now you got ones up there in Texas right now, Shaka Smart. We got all this elite talent. Well, how many of us are trying to help Shaka Smart be successful at the University of Texas? Great. How many of us trying to help him?
And hold on. And me personally, just being around and listening to some of these guys, for some reason, these guys don't like Shaka Smart.
Well, that's a Shaka thing. I can't answer that, but you know what? They shouldn't like a lot of these guys.
Okay, so maybe they probably just don't like the black coach.
Why don't they like Shaka? Because he won't pay them.
Let me. That's a good question. Here's ago. I went back to and pulled back up the flow mat on that one and pulled up the rug on that one. Here's the deal.
Okay.
When Shaka first got the job.
I know what you're about to say. Come on, man.
I'm just telling you. This is I don't know what you're about to say, but I'm just telling you. When he first got the job.
Come on now. I want to hear.
There's two things. His first offer went to Jacob Young. And that really, I didn't realize it, but being in the gyms, that really pissed off a lot of summer coaches from other programs.
Why?
That really did.
Exactly. Why?
That's the thing. See, here's the thing. A lot of those guys wasn't gonna influence their kids to go to University of Texas in the first damn place. But that was an excuse that they used as their cover.
Jimmy, if you're trying to help Shaka Smart, this would get summer coaches got to understand. And I'm not even going to chop up the other schools because I'm with the chop shop now. I don't get paid by any university, okay? Why would you send your kids to Kansas when you are living in Texas? Why would you send your kids to Philadelphia, to Villanova, or South Carolina when you live in the state of Texas? And not send your kids to Texas A&M or Texas unless you want your kids to get away, unless you say, you know what, he's going to Ivy League or Berkeley or Stanford. There's certain things that are outliers. Not that you can't get a good degree at University of Texas, but if you want to get a degree at Cornell, Ivy Leagues ain't in Texas. Unless you had a specific reason, why would you not want to be aligned? Do you know how many boosters that live in Houston are from the University of Texas? You send your best player to Texas. Hatter, you know how I know how everything's about relationships. Isn't it better to do that than to send him to Oklahoma? Jimmy, you tell me. So it don't matter who the coach is. And on top of that, you know what that's like, Jimmy? When like Tavis Smiley and all those guys look at their career, I'm not just going to vote for Obama just because he's black. Then so what you going to, so let me get this right. So we didn't have 43 of the other ones, right?
Right.
But we can't vote for Obama but just because we want to change. So Shaka's the first black one. Y'all sent them there before when the other guys there. But because Shaka there, he took Jacob Young. We ain't sending a player there. Come on, dude.
I don't understand that.
That's ridiculous, man. That's ridiculous.
Hold on. You saying it's ridiculous? Are you saying you don't believe it happened, or is it ridiculous?
And people might have been upset.
Dude, I don't put nothing past the grassroots community in Texas. Let's get that straight. I don't put nothing past them. But I just want to know from those guys, if you ever know which one of them told you that, why? We had a situation this year that I happen to be a little involved into, and the parents was concerned about whether Shaka was going to be there or not this year. And, after a year or so. But that's valid. And, because I said you live in Texas. And then I had another kid tell me, man, I just don't like Texas. But he's a little younger, so I got to explain him the advantages of going. See, a lot of kids not educated, man.
Let me tell you something. In the Big Ten, right, in the Big Ten, a kid that grows, I want to know this. How many kids from Minnesota go to school in Texas? How many kids from Ohio go to school in Texas? How many kids from Pennsylvania? How many kids from Iowa go to school in Texas? They stay in their region. But how many of our kids would jump on a plane in a heartbeat, and we got some of the best universities, and they leave in a second?
Could it be because we got more kids? Jimmy, could it be because we got more kids?
Listen, how about this?
Besides California, we
have more kids?
But Hatter, they're not loyal, Hatter. Here's the deal, Hatter. We got a lot of teams, but Justice Winslow, he went to Duke. Yeah. Kelly Oubre went to Kansas. I can go on and on. Tyrese Maxey went to Kentucky. The Harrison twins went to Kentucky. I can keep going all day long. Why didn't any of these kids choose a school in Texas? Or excuse the University of Texas. The University of Texas, man.
Excuse me. The teams that you mentioned, they're blue bloods. Rasheed Suleiman told me something key. He said that was his dream school.
But Hatter, ask me where his dream is now. Maybe if he'd gone to Texas, it would have turned out different. Maybe he'd have been TJ Ford, or maybe he'd have been Daniel Gibson. How about that? Or maybe he'd have been LaMarcus Aldridge.
Interesting.
I'm just saying, you're from Texas. How many kids from North Carolina are coming to Texas?
Not many.
How many kids? I'm just saying, how many kids from Florida that can go to the University of Florida to play football come to Texas?
That's a great point. It's a great point.
We cannibalize ourselves, Jimmy. We don't have enough pride in our own state to try to keep our kids here. That's what you got to. And listen, I'm one that sent my kids, but I sent them different places depending on what they want to do. Yeah. But at the end of the day, if a kid wanted to go to Texas, I wasn't gonna stop him.
I got a question.
That helped me.
I got a question. You just ranted and raved a minute ago, and then the next thing came out of your mouth. You sent your kids everywhere. So what? If
no.
Stop.
All of them didn't go everywhere.
What
all
if
of them
these
didn't go
other
everywhere?
guys feel the same way, Chris?
Jimmy. Hey, where did B.J. Holmes go to school, Jimmy?
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M.
Where did Jacoby Brown go to school?
Texas.
Steve Changane didn't want to go to Baylor. That's where all his family. He should have been to Baylor. He didn't want to go.
That's two kids, Chris.
That's three kids. Let me finish. You got to realize the ones I took with me to New Mexico, so that don't count. They don't count, right? They don't count.
Chris,
they don't.
Chris, stop. Jimmy, interject here.
Well, what do you mean? Jimmy, tell the truth.
The
ones that wanted to go to schools in Texas, I would not have stopped them from going. Period. They had to want to go though.
So you're saying just don't stop the kids from going. That's what you're saying, right?
Man, let me tell you something. You got some parents like they want their kid to go to Notre Dame. I had 2 kids go to Notre Dame. That was their parent. They said, look, man, I love Texas. I want my kid to get a superior education. You got educated parents, that's a tougher deal. But if you got control over the situation, you got control. And then the other thing is Texas got to want them. A&M got to want them too. The other schools got to want them. They got to want them.
And understand something, Chris. Understand something. Now we making it seem like it's just like one-sided. Like why wouldn't you stay there? Understand, it has to be the opportunity has to be there at the same time that you mentioned, and the desire and the recruiting. A lot of these kids nowadays in this culture love to be recruited. A lot of the parents love to be recruited. A lot of the people are going, then others are going to take the highest name that they can get. That comes. And a lot of things factor into it. And then also the influence. You were on those sidelines as a summer coach, as well as a college coach. You know the influence that especially on the top level of recruiting, meaning the Power 5 schools. The summer coach across the board has the most of the influence in recruiting. And there are a lot of coaches on a lot of staffs that you might have sent that guy a kid and they might have messed over that kid or made you believe or didn't play him. Kid at the transfer. You're not sending that guy another one of your kids. So that stuff goes into play. And that coach might be coaching at University of Texas, or he might be at A&M, or he might be at Baylor or Texas Tech. And guess what? That's part of the equation. And that parent would never know unless you are transparent enough to let them know, hey, look, man, I got a beef with that dude. That dude ain't going to be right by your kid. Now, you might tell them that.
But, Jimmy, as the world always goes, better the devil that you know. Because then you'll send your kids somewhere you don't know nobody there. And you got to realize, man, when you send your kid away from home, right, there's AAU coaches in that region too. And you know what they're going to say? They're going to say, well, hold on, man. Why are you going to play this dude from Texas? If you play this dude from Texas over this kid from Chicago, we're not going to send another player to DePaul. Just like a kid from Texas, an AAU coach from Texas would be like, yo, man, you at the University of Texas. If you play this dude over me, he from Oregon, we're not going to send you one more dude. Don't forget what state you in. That's how it works, man. So unless a kid is going to a superior academic school, like places that are like a Notre Dame, like a Stanford, like a Berkeley, like a Ivy League, a Vanderbilt, just superior academic, right? I'm telling you right now, think about this, man. If people really wanted to, Jimmy, and I'm not even trying to hype this dude up, if they really wanted to, Rice University could be a powerhouse. You understand that? If they really wanted them to. If they just said, you know what, man, I'm going to Rice. And 2 or 3 kids said I'm going to Rice. Just like they can say they're going to Houston, it will be a powerhouse.
Well, just like they say they're going to Memphis. Right
It
now.
would, exactly.
We see
It would be a powerhouse. So people have a lot of influence.
And now, yeah, and it takes, but at the same time, it also takes winning. You got
Jimmy,
to win.
I get it. But Jimmy, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Send them there. Memphis ain't won nothing. And them kids going to Memphis? What if Memphis
Watch
won?
your mouth, man.
They ain't won
They
since Larry. They haven't won since Larry
They got
Finch
a
was there.
coaching play.
Since Calipari was there. I get it.
But that's the whole.
But
But
Jimmy,
at the same, Chris, at the same time, they got a coach that had premium street cred. I'm talking about.
it don't matter, man.
super
Let me tell you something, man. The coach, let me tell you something. You were right, but guess what? Put a bunch of bums up there with that coach with all the street creds and watch what happened. He's going to be sitting over here with me doing the chop shop. So what I'm saying is, I don't care who's at Rice. You send some blue chip players over there, they're going to win, be in the NCAA tournament. And you know who runs the city of Houston? People that go to places like Rice. Yeah. They over there living in West U. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So imagine if you was a one and done dude and you went to Rice. Imagine if you had the Fab Five and they went to Rice. Imagine. I'm telling you, man. People don't want to hear that, though. You're going to send your kid to all these other different schools, and people don't realize at the end of the day, education's still a part of this deal. Think about A&M, man, and how much people love A&M and how crazy them people had them rings on their finger, tapping it and going crazy, and how much they love them football players, right? Think about that. If you played football at Texas A&M, Hatter, and you were a good player, is your life going to be pretty good when you leave there?
Yeah, it should be.
Now imagine you that same player and you go to Michigan and you try to come home. So you're going to live in Detroit. That's great. And you bring your butt home and try to get a job. Guess who you're going to be going against? Guess who your competition going to be? That football player from Texas A&M. And guess who the decision maker is? And who the boss, where he went to school? Texas A&M. Who gets the job? See, people don't understand the long play. 99% of y'all are not going to play professional sports. You're going to have to get a job one day. They don't understand the long play.
Chris, I got a statement. I'm glad you're talking about education. You're talking about influence. You know, we're talking about Jimmy, I saw something last night, and I've just been thinking about it all day. I've been watching how we can be influenced and how kids can be. So, you know, our people, we fall behind it's me, because we listen to celebrities more than we listen to our thinkers, our doctors, our lawyers, and our scientists. The sad reality, Jimmy, is some of our celebrities are immature and illiterate, but our kids internalize this self-destructing thinking that these celebrities have. I'm watching the influence of, I saw a kid, Chris told me to go watch a video this morning, and I watched it briefly, and a kid said, young white kid said, Travis Scott saved his life. I don't know where I'd be without Travis Scott.
Unbelievable.
Saying to me, the influence that our celebrities in this culture has over our kids could be the same influence that our summer coaches, who might not understand the big picture, is having over our kids. And I just want to just throw that out there. I didn't try to be deep with it. It just troubles me because I see what happened when you tell, and I'm not let me tell you something, Chris. I know some guys need to have a trade. Some guys need to still be plumbers. Chris, we got a young lady that just opened her nail shop over where our old station was. Jimmy and I went by there. Beautiful nail shop. If you walk in this nail shop, you wouldn't know who owned it. You'd think you're in Hollywood somewhere. The young lady is called Gloss, I think. Is right there by Phil and Darius. Yes, I'm giving her a plug today. But
Women Rock Wednesday.
Huh?
Women Rock Wednesday. Why not?
It's Women Rock Wednesday. Let me tell you something, Chris. I walk in, and I know Jimmy walked in there and said, wow, But guess what she's trying to do? She's trying to make sure she have as many African American techs doing people's feet and nails. But the problem is it's hard to find. She want to give people a different experience. We got all the agents that we going to. She trying to give people, and she's been on Craigslist. She been trying. So my plea, everybody might not go to college, Chris.
I agree.
So,
here's a problem.
Okay.
Oh, go finish your thought. Because here's my problem.
I'm looking for a plumber, a new plumber, because my plumber went out of town. Thank God somebody hooked me up with an African American plumber. Unbelievable. So,
Got it.
Yeah, go.
Here's the deal. I was talking. You guys mentioned Ursa McDaniel. He made a great point yesterday. I was gonna steal it, but I got to give him the footnote and let everybody know he said it. He says, "Here's the problem. Some kids, and we're talking about African Americans, if you told them, Jimmy, and Jimmy might disagree with me, if you told them they got a chance to get a 10-day contract with the Knicks or a college degree, I would wonder how many guys would actually take the 10-day." You hear what I just said? You could have a 10-day contract in the NBA or a college degree, and we would sit here and wonder. We would sit here and wonder, because you would think it would be 100%. Nah, man, a college degree, are you crazy? Or a 10-day contract with the Charlotte Bobcats. Come on, Jimmy. We have access to schools right now because we can punt, pass, run, and kick, right, and jump that we didn't have access to years ago. And you got kids going to these schools and they don't want to go to school to save their lives. You got to pull teeth because they're watching TV, and black people are the most visual people on this planet. They're watching TV and they think there's 75 LeBrons on because he's on 75 channels. They don't realize, Jimmy, it's only one LeBron. There's only one LeBron. There's only one KD. There's only one Travis Scott. There's only one Jay-Z. It ain't 100 of them. They actually think that it's achievable to become these people. God plays favorites. I keep telling people that all the time. So you got to back your bet, and you got to get that. You got to get a degree because you're gonna have a job. You're gonna have family one day.
Chris, but keep going.
We're living in Disneyland with our kids' lives. We're Donald Ducking and Mickey Mouse in our kids' lives. I'm telling you.
But here's we go. We go right to the boom boom room, and of course, there's a couple of comments, and they're bombarding you, Chris, with a lot of questions and comments. And one says, Lionel say, why wouldn't they take the 10-day contract
instead of a college degree? If you're a 10-day dude, you're probably not a league dude. Lionel, I hope you're not telling your son that. Would you rather have a degree? I didn't say what school. Let's say it's Cornell. Let's say it's Columbia. Would you rather have a 10-day with the Knicks or a degree from Harvard? Tell them that.
So now number two is Otis says, if my kid was a McDonald's All-American living here in Texas and have a chance to go start at North Carolina, Duke, etc., who's always in the Final Four, I would be a fool to persuade him to stay home in Texas and average 14 and 16 points on those teams would definitely get him drafted. Hell, we would have to drop 20 plus at UT. He was drop
first of all, that's absolutely foolish. That's a foolish comment. Please erase that. Otis, I love you. You're my boy, but erase that from the threads because he's a former player, and I don't want nobody to think he don't know what he's talking about. That is not true. Where did TJ Ford go to school, Hatter?
Texas.
And
where did Daniel Gibson go to school?
Texas.
Where did Jonathan Motley go to school? Where did Wesley Iwundu go to school?
Baylor, huh?
Where did Perry Ellis? I can name a whole. I'm just saying. I mean, not Wesley Iwundu. I meant another kid, not Wesley Iwundu. But I'm just saying, where did the kid we just talked about the other day from Texas Tech last year? Where did he go to school? The kid from Dallas. Jared Culver. What is these people talking about, man? If you are a pro, see, you know what he just did? He just did an infomercial for Duke and North Carolina. That's what he just did right there.
Yes, he did.
Because I love Rasheed Suleiman, but he didn't have a great experience at Duke.
He did not.
So
Daniel Ewing. Daniel Ewing
exactly.
did it. Hold on. Neither did the big fella. What's the big fella name?
Exactly.
Marcus Bowden. Neither. And what's the guard name that played with Matt? What's his name?
Matt, yeah, and he was an average
That wasn't
player.
that good, no way.
He
though.
wasn't that good anyway.
But still, we're talking
You
about
better be glad they took
McDonald's. McDonald's All-Americans that decided to go there. So
Kelly Oubre didn't have a great experience at Kansas. And what about Quentin Grimes?
Oh my goodness.
I mean, I can keep going on and on. So when they say,
hold on. Can you name a kid from Texas that actually went to Duke and had a good experience?
what do you mean? Justice Winslow.
That's one out of six.
Justice Winslow had a great experience.
One out of six. So we won for six right now.
He played with 5 pros, but keep going though.
What's still
Hey, Jim,
okay, bro?
Jim, look what time it is. 1 o'clock. We got to stop.
Don't hit the button. Hit the button. Hit the button. Let's
Make
go.
sure it works this time, Hatter.
I can't. No. I can't hit the button today. I don't feel like hitting the button today.
Hit the
Hold
button.
on a
Hit
second.
the button.
But
Hit
Jimmy,
the button.
set us up, Jimmy. Set us up while I get it work. Okay. Ooh, look at you already ready. I have to wait till the ad play first, Jim. Uh-oh. Here we go.
Hatter, we cannot hear that, man.
Shut
We
up.
can hear that at all.
You got a bootleg little man. Get that little
It's time for the
get that
starting
cricket
five.
phone.
We're doing the starting five, and the starting five is the first 5 viewers that logged on into the Boom Boom Room. So we take out the time to acknowledge you guys and just give you a shout out during the middle of the show. And of course, as we do so respectfully by it being Women's Rock Wednesday, all 5 of the starting 5 members are female. And
Okay.
so without further ado, give them your starting 5. Who you got?
I got Anissa Beal,
Okay.
Lori Dodson, Michelle Phillips, Angie Holcomb, and Miss Wendy Johnson.
All right. Okay. And I got my starting 5 right here. I got Michelle Mybell, as you guys see on the line. Madonna Johnson, Anissa Veal, Wendy Johnson, and of course Sandra Menchaca rounds off my starting 5. Shout out to you guys.
What up, Sandra? What's up, Sandra? What's up, Sandra?
She wasn't on that.
Sandra.
And this starting 5, of course, is brought to you guys by, of course, Ricky Winslow and Baytown. Visit Baytown.com with the Winslow Invitational. And this event will take place this Saturday and Sunday out at Goose Creek Memorial High School. There's going to be a symposium on Saturday featuring a variety of speakers, including Bianca Winslow, Ricky Winslow, John Lucas, Judge Joe Stevens, and of course myself will be on the panel as well. That's going to be Saturday from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Goose Creek Memorial High School. Now there will be a 3-on-3 tournament that's going to take place on Sunday at Goose Creek Memorial High School. And that 3-on-3 tournament is available, as you guys see right here, for all students, not just student athletes, but students. Teams of 4. You mentioned the Chop Shop, and you can get a team of 4 in for only $100 for the team for admission. And that's going to be a good tournament. And I think it's a great thing that Ricky Winslow and his Rowdy Foundation are doing, because they're trying to introduce the sport of 3-on-3 to our communities. And you got to start somewhere. And speaking of 3-on-3, tying into a topic we mentioned earlier, you missed on the Chop Shop, and that is about taking when Chris, you mentioned about the Barry Gordy story on how he started Motown on his own. And wouldn't you think that would be kind of relatable to what Ice Cube did with the Big 3? He went in uncharted territories, created his own platform. And think about how much resistance that he received around the country about the Big 3 over the past 3 seasons. And then think about it like this. The 3-on-3 eventually, guess what? It serves as an opportunity to pay a lot of retired guys for doing something that they love. They're not getting a bunch of money, but that $10,000, is it $10,000 a month, Hatter? I think $10,000 a month, I think that's what they get. That goes a long way to a lot of those guys that's in their afterlives, because a lot of them didn't handle their money properly. So they can use that. And then you have guys like Joe Johnson that's using this as a possible springboard to possibly get back into the league.
Ginsu.
Oh, we understand that. But the whole, but he's trying to keep hope alive. But and you think about it, one of the stories that went under reported over the summer was Ice Cube was really close and trying to buy a network, right? I think it's from NBC or something.
Yeah.
Or
Shut him down.
Fox
And they
channel.
blocked it.
And
They
they
blocked it.
didn't just shut it down. They pulled a power move
They blocked
and
it.
did everything that possible in their power to block that buy, that purchase. Magic Johnson even got on board with Ice Cube to try to help make this deal go through. And they did not want that thing to happen, because if it would have, the Big Three is doing good. They're selling out. You mentioned last week, they had what,
Jimmy,
15,000?
on CBS Sports.
Jimmy, I got something about the Big Three. First of all, that guy with the hat, that other hat on, not you, Jimmy, that other guy, he's a he's a Negro naysayer about the Big Three. So I'm just gonna let you know that. But Jimmy,
Whoa.
Jimmy, hold on, let me finish. Then you can come back. Jimmy, the Big Three, on great knowledge that Ice Cube was offered. I lost almost about 10. I think about 10 times, 3 to 10 times as much as he paid for it. You know, for somebody wanted to buy it from him. And you know what he said? He said, I couldn't do it. He said, cause history wouldn't be kind to me. I don't know how much this thing gonna be worth. I'm not gonna sell it. I don't want my kids to look back in history and say, Dad, you sold that. That's the problem that I had with Bob Johnson selling BET. But now, Jim, Negro Naysayer, is your turn.
Oh, here's a funny thing. I don't know why you called me a Negro naysayer. I said before, you look what I just did in Seattle. I'm not that guy. I'm about let me finish. Can I make my point? I'm about uplifting and empowering. All I said was Ice Cube started that league. Think about why he started that league. He's like, look, man, Kobe about to retire. He just had 80 points. We'll never see him play again. I want to start a league because here's his gamble. This is why he's not going to sell it yet. He's hoping Kobe put them shoes on one day. He hoping when LeBron finish, LeBron plays. That's the long play. That's why I keep telling people. You got to understand what that dude is very smart. Ice Cube went from saying F the police to making movies like, are we done yet? Or are we there yet? Very, very smart, guys. You got to understand, super smart. So he gets it. But he's banking on the long. He's not worried about them bums that are playing now. He ain't worried about that. It's them dudes that are iconic players now. Those are the guys going to take the Big Three into the stratosphere where it'll be worth 20x. And then I guarantee you then, Hatter, guess what he going to do? Sell it. Because guess what I saw? Because you know me, Hatter. If you want to know something, Jimmy, you follow the money. Dr. Dre's net worth is what? Over $1 billion, right? You know what Ice Cube's is? Less than 200,000. 200 million, I'm sorry. I couldn't believe it. I said, hold on. How is...
Ice Cube produced.
Let me finish.
Ice Cube wrote.
Let me finish. He makes movies, though. So he's worth 200 million and Dre worth $1 billion.
Dr. Dre did most of the writing.
No. He did the producing. Dr. Dre did not. He did the producing. Ice Cube did the writing.
So tell me why. Okay.
Because he's in the technology. In the technology, he owned it, and Ice Cube had his label too.
No.
Back in the day.
You remember when Apple came to the table. They wanted Dr. Dre's catalog.
Yeah.
In the Beats. Everybody thought they was talking about the Beats, the headphones. They wasn't worried about that. They wanted his intellectual property. That's how Apple started. Apple.
But again, he was leveraged with Jimmy Levine or Jimmy Levine, but they're not crazy. Jimmy Iovine. I'm sorry, Iovine. So what I'm saying is they make smart partnerships and make money. And this dude, think about it, dudes that started NWA. I can't say the N-word with an attitude. Think about what I'm about to tell y'all right now. And if you need to see the movie Straight Outta Compton, where these dudes came from. In with an attitude. And where they started from, look at these dudes now.
Oh, I love them. Think about this.
That's the American dream, fellas.
I sent y'all.
That's the American dream.
I sent y'all some information the other day, Jimmy. where the company that owns Hasbro, the company that owns them, they bought all the rights to Death Row music, all of Tupac stuff, and all of what's the other Snoop Dogg and Suge Knight's, all of their work, because Suge Knight, when he was under, I think he had money problems, he sold it to that conglomerate, that company, and Hasbro bought that company. So the toy maker owns Death Row Records now.
I mean, think about this, man,
How
Jimmy.
about that?
Look at Ice Cube, Snoop Dogg, right, and even Dr. Dre. The music that they made. You got Snoop Dogg. He's so commercial now. It's crazy. He's doing a show with Martha Stewart. Ice Cube doing kid movies, and look what has happened. But that goes to show you, it's like you guys talked about the black coaches earlier. Dude, I don't care how black you are. Chris Walker can go to the spot that we go to, smoke a cigar, and talk crazy as heck. But Chris Walker, you can take him into a boardroom, and he can talk as intelligently as the next guy. That is what you got to do when you a brother. You got to learn that. And guess what them dudes learned over the years? Because they tried to do it the other way, Chi-Chi. Right? They tried to bring all them dudes from the hood with them. And you know what they realized? Man, I got to do this a different way. And look what happened. That's what we got to learn as African Americans. You got to learn how to transition back and forth.
Jim, I got a question, Coach. You know, every time somebody make a comment, Mr. Lionel Gar talking about you build a company to make money. What if Jeff Bezos had sold Amazon a couple of years ago? What if he'd have sold Amazon? He talking about it's not about making money, it's about not making history. If Jeff Bezos had sold Amazon, because he was struggling at some point, what if Zuckerberg had sold Facebook? Come on, man. It's all right to make history and money at the same time. I rest my case. But keep going, Jimmy.
But what about Jimmy? What about the dude that sold Victoria's Secrets and ended up killing himself and jumped off the bridge? Sold Victoria's Secrets before it took off, and look at both Victoria's Secrets now.
And guess who owns it now? The Wexler guy. Guess who Wexler is? I forgot his first name. I'm going to tell you in a minute. But that's the guy who financed Jeffrey Epstein.
Wow.
Yeah,
follow the money.
That's why I look like that when you bought Victoria's Secret up. I just look like that, like, okay, your Victoria's Secret, it's not as hot as it used to be. They're in some hot water. Because that stuff is, they were until this boy, before he killed himself. Speaking of the big three, I want to give a shout out on Women Rock Wednesday to Lisa Leslie. Lisa Leslie was named Coach of the Year in the Big Three. The championship will be held this weekend in the Big Three. Only 2 teams are left. But Lisa Leslie was named the MVP the Coach of the Year this season. That's the 2 years in a row that a female has earned that title or that award from the Big Three. So I want to give a shout out to Lisa Leslie. Once again, man, I'm really, really impressed with, in closing on that topic with the Big Three, because it's overcame the turbulence, and it only can go further right now. Once you try to start something out, you're going to meet a bunch of resistance, and once you surpass that resistance level, then the sky's the limit. That Big Three is going to shoot. And
Jimmy, we got to add that he has a partner, and his partner is
not black. No.
Okay.
Just like KD, business guy ain't black either.
Oh no.
Well, I mean, but he's a what do you call, a majority partner, owner,
right,
or whatever in that league. He makes decisions. Oh, he's not. He's in the room.
No, he put his money. He put his money in.
Oh yeah, he put his money up. You're right.
He put his money in.
And then one of the guys, remember, one of the owners, one of his partners had sued him after year one. Remember, one of the guys, they fell out with the Big Three. So I don't know the name and all the details, but we'll go right to the Facebook.
Jim, he was a commissioner. It was Roger.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was whose name?
Not Roger Mason.
Roger Mason.
Yeah, Roger Mason used to be with the NBA.
Yeah, Roger Mason was the commissioner, was the starting inaugural commissioner of the Big Three. But him and Ice Cube came into conflict about this investment guy. It was another guy an investment arm of the company. They tried to take over the company, and Roger sided with this guy, and Ice Cube said, "Man, no, you got to go." But I got a question for Chris. Chris, would you ever think in your life, because you used to be billionaire you just didn't call that name out that much, right? But you would have three guys that's worth $100 billion. Three guys. There were three guys on the planet worth $100 billion. It used to be, didn't even be billionaires long. That term was like that's too far down. Millionaires, all right, billionaires. But now we got three guys, and Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, and Bernard Arnault. And Bernard Arnault is the guy that owned Moet Hennessy and Louis Vuitton.
But don't he own Zara too?
Yes, sir. Guess what else? No. Sephora too. Sephora, where he sells other people's wares.
Wow.
Sephora. Yes. Yeah, but guess what? They had a $30 billion increase from last year. He wasn't on this list last year. And guess what they saying? That $30 billion increase. You notice who he hired within the last year? Who? Virgil Abloh, the black designer over the off-white kid, the black designer, what's his name? Kanye West's friend. He the one doing all the off-whites and the collabs with other companies. And then, guess who wanted it? I didn't realize Rihanna. That's why, she's the #1 female entertainer now, grossing female entertainer, because she got her Fenty line, Fenty.
Or Fendi or Fenty.
Fenty, okay. Not Fendi. Fenty. It's under Louis Vuitton. That's why that girl. So his African Americans helped him a whole lot, especially the athletes and the entertainers, because they talk about it. What Balenciaga? They own Balenciaga too. Some of them old ugly shoes you bought, Chris Walker.
Why you put my business in the streets, man?
Oh, I'm sorry. So
T-Sheet, move on. Turn hat off, man. You chopping me up. Put my business in the streets.
I want to give a shout out. Of course, we're going to talk some amateur sports in shortly, but want to give a shout out to Joseph Young. Yes, we're going to Chop Shop. We're going to be on location on tomorrow at the brand new either the television or the radio studio at Jack Yates High School. They have a state-of-the-art $2 million facility or studio inside of the new School of Communications. Joseph Young is going to join us live tomorrow. We're going to talk a lot in preview of tomorrow night. We will be at the North Shore versus Katy football game, which, from what I understand, is sold out. Which I'm not shocked. I'm just surprised that game hadn't sold out a month ago. I didn't understand that, based on the fact that a lot of people may not know it, but North Shore is the most populated, predominantly minority school, black school. I put it like that because you got minorities in other races. But and of course, Anthony West doesn't like us to use the term minority.
We don't care what he don't like.
But I'm saying out of
they got blacks and Hispanic. They got blacks and Hispanics at North Shore like crazy.
Well, North Shore is a predominantly black. The majority of the student base at that school is African American. So, of all of the high schools in the state of Texas, there is no school that has a population, an attendance of 5,000 students. That's what North Shore has. And So North Shore, a lot of people may not realize that, and they got it going on out there. They will host Katy or high school. The game will be televised on ESPNU on Thursday evening. Check your local listings, depending on what part of the country you're on, but that game will be televised nationwide. The Chop Shop will have our feet on the grass. We will be there on tomorrow evening. But meanwhile, of course, tomorrow's show, we'll be with you guys. We'll be streamed in. And we have Joe Young is going to join us. And he just recently signed a multi-year deal to return to China for the next couple of years for $6 million. So shout out to Joe Young. He's going to get that bag again. And also a thing that I've learned, we'll talk about it tomorrow, that Joseph Young is outfitting the entire Yates varsity basketball program with suits. I'm loving Joseph.
Is that a violation? Is that a violation?
I'm not sure it's a violation. They can't keep the suits, Chris. They can wear those suits and build a program.
Like or you mean use it like the warm-ups?
Like a uniform. Yes. Yeah. So because last year he bought them all 2 pairs of, he bought a pair of sneakers each week in the playoffs that they advanced, and they could not keep the sneakers.
That's weird. So he can buy a pair of sneakers but can't buy a suit?
No.
They got to give the sneakers back, Hatter. They can't keep
the sneakers. They couldn't keep the sneakers.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
They couldn't keep the sneakers last year. So at Yates, he bought them like 2 or 3 pair of sneakers. They couldn't keep them. They were, the same thing. He buying them. Now these guys, understand, they're getting tailor made. He's not going to the store to K&G and buying some suits. These kids are getting tailor made for suits, and they're going, and this is awesome, giving back.
And
I agree.
Walter Yates is on the feed talking about clear violation, and he gonna put up. He's a hater. No, he's a hater.
It's not a violation. It's not, Chris, you can explain the violation because you dealing with suits with stuff and dealing with the college rank. Explain them. Well, I know on the high school level, but as far as the college programs, suits.
Yeah, they're allowed to buy suits. They're allowed to get suits. That's not a violation anymore. But again, Joseph Young went to Oregon. If he was making a donation to Oregon, that would be where they would have to deal with that. But to the high school, I'm talking about amateurism. That's what I'm talking about, it being affected. But again, I hope they check that.
One of the parents of the Yates High School students are watching the feed, and Ashley just provided the intel. She said that they don't get to keep anything, which I knew that they couldn't keep it, but they have the option to purchase them.
To buy it, yes.
So
that's what I was going to say.
So some kids can purchase them at a nominal price. They might set the price at $50 for a suit. Guess what? They all got to pay the same amount. So
let me ask you. So isn't it the same thing, Jimmy? Isn't it the same thing if Adidas wants to sponsor a team, they can't give it to them. They still have to collect it back from them, and if they want to buy them, they can. So it would be like Joe making a donation to the program, but the school ultimately has to hold on to it. Kid wants it, they can buy it.
Yes, and that exact thing happened to Elkins High School last year. When Elkins, Travis Scott was part of the Jordan brand, as you guys know, and they had an event, but Travis was on tour last year. I think he was in Brooklyn at the time, but they had an event, and they do it every year in Chicago, Illinois, with teams from all over the country. Elkins was chosen because Elkins is the former school high school of who? Hey, Travis Scott. So they went and Jordan brand outfitted Elkins High School from the rooter to the tutor with a whole bunch of gear. They got back to Houston. They could not keep none of it. They would not even let them wear. They didn't want them to wear it in none of the district games or nothing, but they did wear them during the Christmas crossover. They could not keep none of that stuff from Elkins.
All I can say, that kid Joe Young is amazing.
Yeah, I love that.
His family, his father always gave back. Like Jimmy said, kids need to see an example.
And he's doing
it. And this kid, let me tell you, this kid, man, that if we had more Joe Youngs that goes off and play in the league and come back and do the stuff Joe Young does, man, and hold up, and it's the things that he don't talk about that he does that's just as amazing. Great man under great leadership. I mean, unbelievable. Keep going, Jim.
You guys remember 2 years ago, he sponsored the turkeys for the Hoops Giving Classic. He bought, Joe Young bought like 100 turkeys and paid for them to get fried. They were all deep fried, and we gave them away to every female at the Hoops Giving Classic 2 years ago. That was unbelievable. Understand. And what he's doing, though, is rubbing off because you see Damian Dot's I mentioned this past weekend, I went and I joined Damian Dotson and Daniel Gibson and Wesley Iwundu. They had a small back to school, a backpack drive, and which was cool. That's where it starts at.
Awesome.
But once those young men are introduced to that, you guys have both been there. The feeling that warms your heart when you see those kids that don't have, and you're able to provide something in their lives. That stuff is contagious. It's addictive. You're gonna want to keep doing it.
And you know what you love about it? You don't have to come on the chop shop and chop them up and be like, dude, how do you not give back to your neighborhood? Like when guys get it, they know where they come from, and they just get it, and hopefully it becomes infectious and it rubs off on the other guys. And these guys may be starting something. So I remember Justice Winslow was doing something with his camp. Like guys that come back and do stuff for their neighborhood, those are the guys that, like Travis Scott, like you can say what you want about him trying to bring back Astro World. They had Sylvester Turner give him the key to the city. Dudes that rep their city. That was my thing I said before about going to University of Texas or going to school at home. You have more affinity for helping where you come from, man. You have more interest in it, right? You have more people that are supportive of you. And again, I went to Villanova. I'm not one to talk. It was just a different time when I was growing up, and I didn't have AAU or influences around me. But if Texas was in the Big 12 and A&M was in the Big 12, I know for a fact that the greatest time I had at Villanova and the impact it had on my life, there ain't no way I wouldn't have gone to Baylor or Texas A&M or Texas Tech or SMU or U of A. It would have happened because what you're getting going to Villanova, you could get staying at home or your mama can see you play. There's no reason for you to leave. Back then, you had to leave to get that type of exposure. Hatter, you don't have to do that anymore. You don't have to do that, right? Why you think, Hatter? How about this, Hatter? You're from Memphis, right?
Yes, sir.
You think about, people don't understand the city of Memphis and how crazy they are about them Tigers. When Larry Fitz was there, right? I worked at Vanderbilt. When Penny was there, you can't get a kid to leave Memphis. Am I lying or what? You couldn't get him out of there.
Yeah. Todd Day and Todd Day and
Corey. Todd Day them left. Right, but you know what I'm saying. That was like a little, those are the outliers.
Yeah.
They do not leave that city. And the people in Memphis embrace them dudes.
Yes.
Like crazy.
Yes.
So I have a question. We're going to the boom boom room, and we have a couple of questions. And of course, somebody asked a question for I'll toss it to you, Chris. And B. Scott asked, well, how did the kids from the NCAA basketball academies get to keep their gear?
You know what? We may need to get our resident NCAA dude on the phone. We need to give somebody a call and ask them why. Man, that's
because the reason I say that is because when they go to Nike Elite 100 camp, they're not supposed to keep the stuff. But they're in the past. But I think they've gotten. What they used to do is they would have the trash, the cans out, the barrels out for those kids to drop their stuff in, and the veterans would know to just tuck their uniforms and act like they drop it in. You know how you kind of act like you putting money in the church in the pan and keep walking. That's how some people do. When you
always using church analogies, man. Leave that alone.
But they would, and some kids would keep that product. So I'm wondering if that's a very good question, B. Scott.
Is that legit though? We got to make sure before we start accusing the NCAA.
No, the kids kept their gear. They kept their gear.
Well, they kept the jersey. Was there an entry fee for the camp?
No.
You sure there was no entry fee?
No.
They paid for the clearinghouse, what's known as a clearinghouse. They paid that $90 to get rid. And that was it. It was no fee.
Maybe that was a part of maybe they make that $90 a part of getting. Well, if they don't, that's a major screw up on somebody's part. And I'm surprised no one said anything about that. Because they
busy looking at all this other stuff that's going on. They ain't busy worried about that.
They busy making a Rich Paul rule.
Hey, Erskine, Erskine said plantation issued gear is allowed.
Wow. That's wrong.
About the kids, I think Clyde commented on you talking about the kids tucking the gear, Jimmy. He said that's called stealing.
Wow. Hey, Jimmy, you had your camp, the sweat camp. Were they allowed to keep their gear or what?
Hell no.
No.
I mean, heck no.
No, that wasn't part of the. We don't, because we're in compliance with that. That's not, But I check into it, and we both will on the NCAA. B. Scott, that's a very good question. And,
Thank you, B.
And absolutely. Now, Chris, we can talk.
What you got?
About, I guess, the recruiting. There's a couple of topics we had on the shelf in the mailbag, and one of them is right now, September the 9th, guys, is the first day that Division I coaches will be able to come out to the high schools and visit with the players only at their own high schools. September the 9th is the first day. That's the Monday after Labor Day. That means there will be a flock of college coaches invading Houston on a daily basis, in and out. So, Chris, you, for years, over 2 decades, you had to endure this time of the year, and explain to them how this stuff works and how you decide. Let's say attacking this a city like Dallas or Houston. About how many kids would you normally get to try to see if you're going to be there for one day?
One day is tough in Houston.
I'm just saying, or Dallas. We're using both because we're based in Texas. About how many kids could you see, and how would you normally align yourselves? Like, how would you know what kids to see? You know that one. You of course know about that one. But how would you get your schedule? Because there are some coaches that's going to use, and I'm gonna wait after you say, and I'm gonna come back and share some things. And I don't know which way you're gonna go with it, but I know I will be able to fill a hole or a gap at the end. So how do you make this schedule of who you're going to see?
Well, here's the deal, man. People got to understand this is a big country, right? And I made the comment the other day about if you go to a 500-team tournament, you already know who you're going to see. So unless that kid that you're actually watching plays that you're watching, they'll never see you. Next point. Before they get on the plane, they know exactly where they're going. There is no discovery. There is no, well, let me just take a chance to go watch this high school. And if you're talking about Dallas and Houston, Jimmy already knows because he provides this through RCS Sports. Everybody's period, that period that they have at like 10 something in the morning, I forget what they call that period, Jimmy. They all have it at the same damn time.
Activity.
That activity period.
Athletic period. Yeah.
So you get stuck in a crosswalk because usually, if you're not doing a contact, right, where you're actually going to talk to the kid, and usually coaches don't want to use it, a contact to go talk to them at the school. Sometimes they will. You're in a tough spot because Houston is so damn big. You can't get imagine having to see a kid at Kingwood and having to see a kid at Missouri City High in Sugar Land, Jimmy. You can't get to them all. You can't do one day in Houston and see more than 2 kids. It's impossible almost, because guess what? You got to get there the night before, buy a hotel room. You got to go see a kid at breakfast before school start, catch them on the way in. Then you got to go to an activity period, right? And then you go to an after school, and then maybe to go that night, you go see an AAU coach or a high school coach. That's your schedule. And I might be teaching some of these guys that are coaches what to do. That's your schedule. And if you only got one day, you might have saw 2 kids. And forget about it being a high school game that day. You might get to see a kid because they don't have, maybe go to a walkthrough an activity period, and you get to see 1 high school game. It's very difficult. If you're not talking to Jimmy Hicks, or you're not talking to someone who knows how to help you navigate your way around. Jimmy don't do it. He doesn't do it anymore. But Jimmy, remember when he was on the Chitlin circuit, when they would call him, he learned a very valuable lesson. He burned a lot of gas, and he got fat as hell eating all the meals. Am I lying, Jimmy? He don't do that anymore.
Excuse me. He didn't have to eat every damn time.
But
trying to eat up every damn thing.
You don't understand. Sandra got a whole lot of meals. And his mama did. His mama did. His mama did.
My mama was my pimp. My mama was my pimp. She would say, all right, you don't have to Papa those and get that and bring me back. And bring me back.
Exactly. So So my point
Every
is,
day. Yeah.
my point is, if these parents are sitting around hoping, that's why I tell people, listen, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm trying to help you get to where you want in your life. You know what that is, Hatter? I want your son to be employable one day. I want him to have a nice car and a nice house, because you can do that in Houston, making $120,000, making $100 a year. But if you chasing that basketball and you think that somebody's going to all of a sudden pop up out of nowhere at your high school, you have lost your rabbit mind. They know exactly who they coming to see. And they're going to see the kids they're trying to recruit, and they're going to go see high-level young guys. They just don't, on a whim, show up at your school. It doesn't work that way. Because if that guy's doing that, he needs to get fired, or he got some girl he's trying to date down there. That's the only way that's happening.
Hey, man, quit telling them men business.
I'm not telling their business. I'm just saying, if they just showing up at your school and ain't no Division I player there, something wrong. Right or wrong, Jimmy? Who's doing that? Who's doing that?
If that's the case, and it happens a lot, because there's a lot of people don't know, and that might be one of the articles that I might include in the magazine this year. There's a few of the high school coaches that are around Houston that actually have been on the college staff of some level. And like at Second Baptist, Coach Mouton was a coach of Division I ranks, and a lot of kids don't even realize it unless they go and tell them. He was a Division I coach. He was at Rice.
Oregon State.
He was at Oregon State. Yes, that Coach Mouton at Second Baptist. Over at Thurgood Marshall, Coach James Bailey. He was at Boise State just 7 years ago. Right. He was at Boise State. And a lot of people may not realize that. You know, and so sometimes coach will know that they're making their runs. They're going to go to their eyes with that coach just to go and break bread with him. Just in that way, it makes that coach credible to his players. Now, because that coaching came through. Now, those players are going to be led to believe, or they're going to lead themselves to believe, that particular college coach is recruiting them. You know, just because they shook their hand, gave them a high five, what's your name, and whatnot. Because every school has a leading scorer. That's like every damn bad team got a good quarterback, because they're losing most games and they're passing in the fourth quarter. But the thing is, what I want to add to this, and here's one of the things, that now a lot of people in a lot of cities are doing this. But back in the days, about 15 years ago, what I'm holding up to your screen right now is what I have for the college coaches this weekend. This is the high school athletic periods of most of the high schools in Greater Houston. And Chris, you used to get this in the cheat sheet book.
Yep.
What this does, this is basically a spreadsheet of the schools and what time their athletic periods is for each day of the week. This is one of the things that I provide that a lot of you parents, a lot out there, they have no idea, because nobody never asks. What the hell do? I do a lot for your babies. And one of the things is, for example, one of the most visited kids this next month in Houston is going to be Eddie Lampkin. You know why? Because everybody else is already committed. They don't have a reason to go see Tremont Mark. He's going to U of H. They have a reason to go see Jahari Long. He's going to Seton Hall. They have a reason to go. You get what I'm saying? So this young man, Eddie, now is going to be, a lot of kids around the country have committed. So now they go to their second level or their third option, and schools are going to be pouring in to Martin Ranch High School to see
the ones that are in his final, whatever, if he has a final.
Yeah, the ones that, and so what happens is now that, say for example, if Chris Walker is at Chris Walker University and he's coming in town, and I already know he's coming, and I said, who you going to see?
Hold up. Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
Somebody just posted. You know I ain't gonna call his name. I'm gonna give you his nickname, PBS. He said, not after the day.
Oh, what happened today?
Well, Ed is expected to commit and end his recruitment and pick his school on this afternoon. So, but I was just using him as an example that popped into my mind.
Right.
So Ed is supposed to be expected to be off the board after the day.
Take Ed off the list.
So now, for example, if I'm talking to Chris and I say, who you going to see? And let's say Chris say he's going to see Tremont Mark, which he's going to U of H, and he act like Tremont is not committed. What I'm going to do to Chris, I'm going to let him know, well, Chris, since you're going to be at Dickinson High School, And their athletic period at Dickinson High School is at 8 o'clock in the morning to 9:14. That's a very rare athletic period in Houston because most of them are in that 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock range. Well, if you're going to get there, then I'm going to find him a school that's on the way to there or in that vicinity that has a player that he could possibly like.
Right.
Not just any freaking school. That's one of the things that you benefit. And if you guys that are watching, a lot of you guys with scouting services out there, you can learn some good shit from an OG like me. This is how you get in the business. And the thing is, you don't nowadays, as Chris mentioned, I used to go and beat the street and run and all them guys. I found a way to also make those coaches not need me as much because I supply them so much intel. I don't need to go to the Papados with the coaches anymore because I'd say, you know what? I'm going to introduce you to that kid's summer coach. Here's his cell number. Call him. If he don't call you back, you let me know. I get his ass and get on him and make sure he calls you. Now you take that summer coach and take him to Papados. That means now he's going to get fed and making sure everybody eat. Now the thing is along the way, where I've imploded and shot my own self in the foot.
I was just about to tell you that.
Was a lot of those summer coaches.
Yep.
Did not reciprocate it back because once you go to eat, that same coach is going to pick that guy's brain and ask him about other kids. Well, who else you like in the city? What about this kid? What about that kid? And now that feeling of empowerment of that summer coach is going to make him feel like now he's playing the role of what Jim Hicks was playing. So now you're going to tell him.
And Jimmy, he going to start a scout service too.
No. He don't start a scouting service. What happens is, man, you don't need to talk to Jimmy Hicks no more. Just call me.
And
that's what happens.
And you don't realize I'm the guy that endorsed you. I endorsed you by giving the coach and letting him know to go and eat with you, to go and call. Here go your cell number. This was back in the days, guys, before now cell numbers are everywhere. But trust me, you couldn't just get in touch with everybody back then.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. This was back in the days where if you want for a kid's cell number, you would actually be calling the summer coach. You think you're trying to get in touch with John Urie's kids back in the days. All of them, I remember seeing coaches packets, and you too, Chris, where you look under Houston Superstars, and all of the phone numbers would be the same phone number, for each kid on the team. And those kids would have no idea. They had no idea because kids don't get to see the coaches.
Just want to keep things consistent, Jim. We was trying to keep things consistent. That's all.
So that's one of the things.
Hey, Jimmy.
Yeah.
It's another thing. I don't know if we finished with that. Somebody asked me, I got a mailbag. Somebody asked me a question. They said it was a note to high school players. Y'all help me with this because Chris walked.
Okay.
They said, don't let an AAU coach tell you he can get you a scholarship. He can't. He's an AAU coach, not a college coach. You can get you a scholarship. Your AAU coach, your high school coach can put you on a platform and advocate for you. You have to play your way into the scholarship.
That's common sense.
Okay.
I think go on. I'm sorry. No, go on.
And then what about the parents? The coach. I talked about this the other day when the coach told me a lot of parents are the problem. That's all. But keep going. Now, what was you saying, Chris?
No, I agree. I mean, I think that's what they're saying. Obviously, when coaches get old, I agree. No, I agree.
Some coaches say they can get, man.
And I know a few of them. Yeah, but listen, I'm guilty of that. I said, look, man, you come play for me. But I knew for a fact, because my thing is, I've been on the other side. I know what they're looking for. I look at the size and metrics, and I don't think I've ever coached a kid that hasn't played Division I. So my thing is, at the end of the day, I know what they look like, and I probably shouldn't have said that. But when I was saying that, I was saying the latter of what you're saying. Like, I can put him in a position. Now, I don't know what level Division I he's going to be. I don't know if he's going to be Baylor, or if I don't know if he's going to be Texas State, or if he's going to be Prairie View. I don't know. All I know is you won't pay for education for your child. That's what I would say.
That's you.
Yeah, I mean, because I know what they're looking at on the other side. Some of these summer coaches, what kills me sometimes, I know more basketball than the college coach. Then why don't you coach college then? So why are you sitting there? Because I'm a trainer. So you don't think a college coach knows skills and drills? What do you think they do every day? They do training too. I don't get where these people think, well, he needs to get with his trainer, and his trainer, what is his trainer going to do? You got him run around dribbling tennis balls and jumping over. Like, tell me, last time I checked, I never saw a cone on the basketball court. I never saw a tennis ball, and I never saw two balls out there at the same time. The problem is they can all master that transformer PlayStation basketball, and when you put them other 9 dudes out there, it's like they're in a maze. They've never been there before. They put those athletes out there, Jimmy. They stop playing in prime time, and they start going to other stuff where it matters, and then all of a sudden they realize there's another world out there besides them ice cream cones. But the trainers, I'm not gonna be mad at them. The trainers, well, don't listen to your coach. I'll show you how to, do the James Harden one-legged 3-shot that no one's gonna ever let you shoot. Come on, man. So much misinformation out there is crazy.
Hey man, how you gonna go on the trainers like that? All trainers not equal.
That's damn show. Hey, listen, that's damn show the truth.
Hey, Jimmy,
of course,
that trainer who told him that last week, that man.
Ain't nobody told me that. Nobody
did tell you that.
Nah. No one told me that last week. I just laugh when they think like when kids and parents, they need an outlet. You got to realize, man, they need somebody to blame. They always need it's like the guy on the High Wire Act. He got to have a net at the bottom. You want to impress me? Don't put a net down there. If you that good, don't put the net down there. They always got to have, well, he's got to get with his trainer and get more shots. Okay, you get that professional rebounder and see if it's going to help him when them other 9 dudes are on that floor.
We go to the boom boom room. We go to the boom boom room, and we're going to address a couple of questions they have for you, Chris. And somebody.
Oh, we in overtime? I need to get paid for overtime. We in overtime?
Yeah, and we're going to be a quick 3-minute overtime because I have to get to a meeting shortly. And so here's a question for you. And Ricky Scott asked, and this is a good question: would just one coach come, or 2, or 3 to cover a city like Houston?
One.
Period.
It depends on where they're from. If they're in state, they may rotate it. If there's a specific kid they're trying to see, if it's a high level kid, they may have a head coach come with one of the assistants. If they're from out of state, absolutely only going to be one. You got to realize school is going on right now. They have their own team. They got to worry about stuff going on there. And at the end of the day, it depends on if they're done with their recruiting class, how far along they are. But again, in a city as vast as Houston, we'll say it again, an average of 20 to 25 or 25 to 30 kids get a scholarship out of the 4th largest city in America. It is damn near impossible. You better be really, 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 really damn good if a dude's going to spend money to come to this city and watch you and only you.
So here's the thing, what I'm asking a lot of you parents to do as we in closing, and this is the part where you can pay attention. A lot of these young guys, they on social media and they advertise. Trust me, the summer coaches or the trainers going to definitely advertise what colleges are visiting their players from their program during starting on September the 9th. Here's what you do. If a particular school if you feel or have been led to believe that a particular college is recruiting your player and they come to Houston and you don't hear from them or they don't visit your school, what does that mean, Chris Walker?
Oh, man, they're not recruiting you. What do you mean, what does it mean? Like that, they're not recruiting. Again, if they're going to get on a plane to come here, they're doing something, Jimmy. Right? I tell people all the time, if they're not calling you, they're calling somebody else. Recruiting is the lifeblood of every program. They're doing something. If they're in this city and they say they're coming to see you and they don't see you, that means they're on the north side. That means they're on the south side.
Jimmy, give me
right?
the
If they
dates
come,
again. Give me the dates again. I'm sorry, Chris.
September 9th.
September the 9th.
First day.
Yeah.
Contact period. Where they can get out.
September
So, yeah, so again, those college coaches, man, that time is so limited. That's what people don't understand when they attack a guy like Jimmy Hicks. They don't understand. That is your best ally. He is your best chance. It ain't about big up in Jimmy. Jimmy has earned that respect. So if you're not talking to him, if a college coach is saying, don't talk to Jimmy Hicks, then you should run from that coach. Because you got to realize about these dudes. One day the crab, next day the crab cake. The same dude, as Jimmy said, the same dude that's telling you Jimmy is good, and when you don't get the player, guess what they say about Jimmy? Man, Jimmy Hicks didn't help me. And guess what they going to do to you? The minute another good player comes, guess who the first person they're going to call? Hey, Jimmy, you going to help me with this one? It's a cycle, man. People don't understand that. You can't outsmart these dudes, Hatter. They are used car salesmen. When Robert Hatter get in front of you, start talking about that contract advisor stuff and start telling them stories, you're not smarter than him. Hatter, you know, Jimmy, am I right or wrong?
I got
So you got to understand, you only going to get one of every 10 that you recruit. So being mad at Jimmy Hicks don't matter. You know what you got to do? On to the next one. Let that song Jay-Z said, on to the next. On to the next one, man.
So
on to the next one.
Coaches actually get mad?
Oh, my God. Are you serious?
Yeah.
The coaches?
Yeah.
You serious?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Give them an example how they get mad. Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Hatter, I'm not going to bring this college coach up. I was trying to help. I did everything in the world. I don't even mess with dude like this. And did everything in the world trying to help him and put him in a position. The family want to go there, still talk him into going to see him. And the dude ain't called me back yet to say thank you for not getting. Listen, I have no control. It's like God. Not that I'm God. I have no control over free will. All I can do is position you. You got to get it done. And what happens is these guys, think about it. They tell their boss, man, I need to get on this plane to go to Houston. You know what that boss says? Hey, man, if you get on that plane to go to Houston and you spend all our little money that we got right here, you better make sure we got a great chance. Hey, man, I got Jimmy Hicks helping me. Jimmy Hicks, we take his service. I need to pay for his service too. Or we got to pay that tariff, right, Jimmy? We got to pay that tariff or we can't go down there at all. So they take their service and then they get down there. Hey, man, I got to take out the AAU coach. Hey, man, I don't care if you don't have a budget. You better take a summer coach out if you want to, the Papados, if you want to get a good favor. Then he got to do that. Then he got to go do all these things. And he may do that 2 or 3 times. And the kid may choose another school, just like Eddie Lampkin going to do today. And you know what that boss say to him? Hey, man, I thought you said we had a chance. Coach, we had a chance. He chose another school. And you know what? That boss is on him. And guess the first thing, man, Jimmy Hicks, man, that dude told me he's going to help me. He didn't help me at all. He don't realize he was in there. He was in there, but ain't no silver medals in recruiting. Ain't no bronze medals in recruiting.
Ain't no second place.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So now you understand how in the past, probably in the past, 5 years, how what I've done, I've raised myself back and let everybody else who cover them kids punch themselves out because everybody's taking kids here, going underground here, taking coaches there because now they're going to be the guys. And after a couple years, they're going to subscribe to a few of them. Then after a while, they're going to clip them. Ginsu. Because now it's not expected of the coaches now for me to go and grab them by the hand and take them and connect them in. I basically direct traffic. I'm the Waze app now for Houston. So that's a big difference right now. Every coach that comes to the city gonna need a Waze app, meaning that because they know when they see that schedule, they know the times, but they don't know that let's say Dobie High School is on the way to Dickinson High School. They don't know that.
Yeah,
they don't know that they don't know that Clear Lake High School is right there another 5 miles away from Dickinson or Clear Creek or Clear Brook. They don't know that.
Jimmy,
So
let
my
me say
job
let
now
me
is
say
to
this
know.
too, Jimmy. Let me say this too. This is what you got to realize. I did the same thing. You know what they do? And people don't think rankings matter. And Jimmy may disagree. You know what they do? They get them rankings. They start looking down in rankings. Who's committed? Who's not committed?
Yeah.
Then they look at the next class. And that's how they decide their schedule. They look at the rankings, and then they call Jimmy, and that's how they make their schedule. So am I lying, Jimmy?
People talk, Jimmy, people talk about rankings don't matter.
Whoa, when you go to unfamiliar territory, why wouldn't you go straight to Jimmy? You'd be a fool not to.
No, but I'm talking about these people out here.
That's not true.
Don't matter.
Hey, does credit score matter?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so rankings matter, okay? Like they go right to the rankings and be like, yo, I need to make sure, okay, if this kid is here, well, let me go see this kid. If Jimmy says he's good, I need to at least see him before I go see these dudes that he ain't talking about. So which ones you think he gonna go see first? The ones that he ain't talking about, or the ones that they pay him to say, hey, I'm gonna shortcut you to that way. It's like the computer. Get the shortcut keys. That's what Jimmy is. He's the shortcut keys.
I'm glad I ain't got no more kids.
Hey man, you gotta learn. Hey, you gotta get on the right side of politics, man. Get on the right side of politics.
I did not understand all of this when my son was coming out, cause I just didn't care. Cause I knew I had saved enough money to send him to college if he didn't have him, if he didn't get a scholarship.
Well, that's what you need to tell everybody.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other topic right there. That's a whole other sermon.
My bad. I didn't mean to do that.
And here's another thing. I'm giving you some advice. Parents, summer coaches, if you're watching, and of course college coaches, because now times have changed because of cell phone cameras and videos. Let me tell you something. You come into Houston, if you're hosting a college coach, Pappadeaux's should be the last damn place that you take them to go get a meal. You know why? Pappadeaux's aren't in but like 4 or 5 cities around the United States. So a lot of those coaches that come in, they want to eat some Pappadeaux's, but you don't need to be seen in Pappadeaux's with them. Because you know why? There's going to be 10 other coaches in Pappadeaux's that's going to be underground, supposed to be on the down low like you are. And guess what? It don't take but for somebody to take a picture of y'all at the table together. That's a straight violation. Straight violation.
Wait.
Well, it's not a violation if they pay their own way. We know
what
zero.
Percentage you think is paying?
Zero.
But pay their own way.
But they don't. They don't.
Zero.
Well, you expect them to go to Mastro's? Cause they
You be smart. You be smart to go to Mastro's. Hey, Hatter, it depends on how good he is. It depends on how good he is. And tell them coaches stop staying in the Galleria too.
I mean that's the whole thing. You got to go outside the box. Everybody can't stay in the same place. You know, most of them gonna do Marriott's because Marriott all of them got points and rewards. Those are gonna be Marriott properties. But then you don't have. Everybody can't stay at the JW. Everybody can't. Everybody can't stay at the Marriott on the South Loop by the Galleria. Everybody can't stay at the same. That's what I mean. Not if you plan on getting some work done. That's the terminology that coaches use. Getting some work done. I mean, they're gonna put on their gloves and guess what? Do a little surgery while they're in town. But that's what I'm just giving advice.
And stay out. Stay out my spot over there on Kirby. You know our spot. What's it called?
Never going to that. Never going nowhere with that.
Anyway, guys, hey, it's time to yabba dabba do that thing, man.
Hey, we owe $100,000 back.
No.
Say, man, we up out here, man. Guess what? Tomorrow we're on location at Yates High School. We got Joseph Young is going to join us. We're going to talk a lot more on the Chop Shop. You guys make sure you share the show. Thanks so much for the support, man. This is one way to expedite everybody's lunch day and lunch break and then lunch day. Guess what? On behalf of Robert Hatter, I'm sorry, this is the hater and Hatter.
Well, I'm hating on.
We don't come out here, guys. Chop Shop.
He hate me.
Boy, y'all were tired.